And on to our top story. Karnataka will soon deploy an artificial intelligence-based tool to monitor social media in a bid to tackle fake news, misinformation and emerging digital threats across online platforms. The state cabinet has approved the implementation of an AI-driven social media analytics solution at an estimated cost of 67.2 crore rupees. But politics that continues to erupt. Now, according to officials, the system will monitor social media platforms and other digital communication channels in real time to detect fake news, hate speech, misleading content, online abuse, cyber threats and harmful narratives. BJP, on the other hand, is alleging that the system is made to snoop on personal information, putting the privacy of individuals at risk through state-sponsored surveillance and constitutes a direct assault on privacy. They claim Karnataka is turning into a draconian police state with the government stifling free speech and hiding the truth for profits. In response, Karnataka minister accused BJP of spreading misinformation, being upset because they will be exposed and having done nothing for employment, while asserting that the AI bill will provide employment opportunities.
You're just trying to curtail misinformation, fake news. There is World Economic Forum reports on how fake news and fake narratives and misinformation is being used to hamper democratic processes across the world. And what are we doing illegal? We are just very clearly just stating what the information that you are reading is misinformation, malinformation, disinformation or fake news. Why is BJP so upset about it? So it looks like their factories are going to be closed. It looks like many of the BJP leaders might become unemployed.
ये जो एआई का सिस्टम लाने के लिए अडॉप्ट करने के लिए सोच रहे हैं, ये तो लोगों का प्राइवेट पॉलिसी भी ऊपर भी बहुत बड़ा आने वाला दिन में इसमें प्रॉब्लम होता है. इफ यू आर लुकिंग फॉर कुछ एंटी एलिमेंट्स का या कुछ ऐसा जो प्रॉब्लमेटिक जो सोशल मीडिया में है उसको देख रहे हैं तो अच्छा रहता है, लेकिन एक बार उसको इम्प्लीमेंट कर दिया तो आपका जो पर्सनल डाटा है उसके ऊपर भी अटैक होने का संभावना इसमें ज्यादा है. इसके लिए हम इसको पूरा विरोध करते हैं. ये हालांकि के लिए राहुल गांधी जी का या कांग्रेस का जो प्लान है वो ठीक नहीं है.
And let's now explain to you to what has changed from 2020. Now, what was the Karnataka Innovation Authority Act 2020? That primarily was something that applied to all innovations and not AI specific. But what is the 2026 AI proposal that the Karnataka government has forwarded? Yes, that targets stalled sandbox for AI startups. Now, according to the 2020 Act, CM chaired panel that approved of legal exemptions, but in the current Act, that is aligned with Union AI guidelines is what the Congress is saying. Now, in the 2020 Act, that allowed limits on users, transactions and even duration. But what the new AI Act proposes is controlled sandbox for startups. According to the previous 2020 Act, the focus was on low-risk projects and job creation. But in this new AI app or the monitoring system that supports genuine AI innovation, and in the previous act, there were penalties of up to 5 lakh rupees for violations on compliance, whereas this particular 2026 act that prioritizes novel AI with safeguards. But this has turned into a massive political fight. Now, what is the Congress claiming versus what the BJP has alleged this act is set to do? Now, according to the Congress, this act enables responsible AI innovation and startups. But the BJP is saying that the act gives excessive discretionary powers to the government in order to snoop into the privacy of the citizens. According to the Congress in Karnataka, this will provide controlled sandbox with safeguards, but the BJP is alleging that legal exemptions can be bypassed as far as existing laws are concerned. Now, the Congress government in Karnataka saying that this aligns with the national AI guidelines, whereas the BJP alleges that the risks regulatory overreach and there is a possibility of misuse as well. Whereas the Karnataka government is saying that this will encourage jobs, it will help in investment and tech leadership, but the BJP says that there is a lack of clarity, and most importantly, when it will come to accountability or safeguards, that is where this app will not suffice. And let me now introduce our guest joining us this evening. First, of course, my colleague Cyrus John, who is the editor of Tech Today, who will really help us understand the technicalities of this AI monitoring system. Also, Dhruv Jati, Congress spokesperson, joining us from Karnataka, and Surbhi Horigere, BJP Karnataka spokesperson. I want to thank you all for joining us on the broadcast. I firstly want to come to you, Surbhi, to why is the BJP raising so many objections against this AI monitoring system?
Thank you for that. I think there's a significant lack of clarity on what the government is attempting to do. So a clarification from the government's end would be much appreciated. First and foremost, we're talking about monitoring, censoring, potentially also registering FIRs on the basis of AI detected social media content. So there are multiple legal loopholes in terms of social media monitoring, and any adding AI to anything has become the new jargon. I speak from Bengaluru, where I know that AI has taken over multiple sectors and has provided significant innovation opportunities. But when it comes to policing, when it comes to governance, when it comes to matters of free speech and censorship, AI is not an end-all solution. I want to understand, how are these models trained? Who is in charge of training these models? What does that 67 crore go towards? How does this ensure better policing? How do you ensure that human bias is not carried through with AI? How do you ensure that the AI is not, detecting, on what basis are we detecting hate speech when you don't have laws that define what hate speech is? As you would know, the recently passed hate speech, hate crime bill in Karnataka has been sent to the president for his assent and therefore review. So on what basis are you allocating this 67 crores? Where does it go? There has not been clarity on this issue. And I beg to differ that we are not against AI innovation. The government led by the Prime Minister has been very clear in the type of signaling to private sector on what AI innovation should solve for. But what we're asking for here is that, where does this 67 crore for, this has nothing to do with AI related innovation. If you're using it to curtail free speech, to censor free speech, where do you stop? Where does free speech get it's a reasonable restriction from, is an incredibly important facet of law that we need to discuss. You cannot have this from executive control. The government of Karnataka cannot decide what is to be said on social media or not. And let me tell you, there is already a prevailing situation of censorship and fear and harassment, because Karnataka had a fake news bill that was proposed. There was an information disorder tackling unit that was proposed. There's been significant number of steps that have been taken where fear has been put forth through the government's actions that free speech is being controlled. And that information disorder tackling unit, by the way, some interesting data that a significant number of complaints that were against political parties, a significant number of them were FIRs filed against people who spoke up against government. So how does this not become a tool for harassment? How does this not become a tool for censorship? That is our very, very pertinent question in this discussion.
All right. Dhruv, I want to come to you. How do you respond to all these points that Surbhi is mentioning? Because people could well have the fear, what if their privacy is breached into? How do you eliminate these fears?
I think it's the responsibility of the opposition party to make sure such bills are not misinterpreted. I mean, that's the whole point of bringing in such bills in the first place. Let me take you to the IT Act 2000, talking about Section 69. And this IT Act explicitly says, and you must go through this, it says that it authorizes governments to intercept, monitor, decrypt information when necessary. And it's just not the IT Act, it's even the DPDP Act 2023, which is the Digital Personal Data Protection Act 2023, which grants full exemptions to states to instrumentalize for the sovereignty and integrity of the state. And if you are trying to say that these acts themselves are in contradiction to the Constitution and free speech, then you must be questioning why your government themselves in 2020 and 2023 brought this in the first place. So I don't think in the first place we must be misguiding the citizens by stating that the SMES is going to be utilized by the government, etc. And Karnataka is not the first state to have implemented it. Let me take you to the Network Enforcement Act, which is the DG, which is implemented by Germany, enacted in 2021 for the exact same use. Singapore themselves, which is the PROFORMA, which is the Protection from Online Falselyhood and Manipulation Act, they implemented it in 2019. UK, France, even the European Union, for example, through their Digital Services Act, which is the DSA, has more than over 45 plus million users who conduct risk systematic assessments under this system. And Karnataka is not the first one that's implemented it. The whole point of bringing this act, and I don't want to politicize this issue, it's primarily because it's related to a socio-economic issue on the whole. Let me remind you, we celebrate Karnataka for being the Silicon Valley of India, but at the same time, it accounts for over 25% of all cyber crimes in India, the highest nationally. And even if you look at the statistics, Karnataka police have registered close to about 259 fake news cases in the last 3 years. But do you know how many convictions? Just 6. This shows that how fake news and free speech, especially when it comes towards
Right.
fake news being disseminated online, is being taken very carelessly. And that's exactly why this bill has been brought into place. And also, let me remind you about the Bengaluru riots 2020. You must have been following it. You remember what happened even in the 2016 Kaveri riots. Fake news was at the thrust of the riots breaking out. And even in coastal Karnataka, 2025 alone, 74 documented instances which directly relate to social media hate content. Now tell me, shouldn't Karnataka have such an SMAS platform in order to make sure that online safety is provided for its citizens? I feel the BJP is clearly using this as an instrument to misinterpret and misguide the
Right.
citizens
Okay.
without
Okay.
even understanding the basic framework of it. You cannot come on television stating that this is in contradiction to your freedom of rights, your freedom of speech, etc. And I completely disagree with this.
All right, let me take this to my colleague Cyrus to really understand, Cyrus, what your research says, because fact is that the problem is genuine on both sides. Need to tackle fake news, but not at the risk of breaching into one's privacy. How do you study into it? Is it risky? Is it not?
Well, Suresha, the thing is, AI is, it's the kind of technology that's evolving. Part of me agrees with both the spokesperson. Yes, AI can be influenced. It all depends on the kind of training that you give to artificial intelligence in terms of spotting fake news, in terms of having certain narratives in itself. So it will be very important of how the AI data is trained to spot fake news. And there's a part of me which also believes that this kind of a tool is very important. It needs to be layered. We need to understand that right now, whatever sightings that are happening online, be it fake news, be it propaganda, it's being done by humans. There are humans who are spotting this online and then flagging it. If we have an efficient AI system that is put as a layer on top of it, it will be able to streamline a lot of that work and then be able to detect it, flag it sooner, and then it will be easier to take it down. Now, the concerns about snooping, I strongly believe that it's not that easy. Yes, AI systems are a lot advanced these days, but even these platforms, you take Instagram, you take Facebook, or any of these social media platforms have another layer of security on top to protect users, and the encryption is not easy to break. So I would not go on and say, because it seems a little exaggerated to say that users' data will be compromised. I wouldn't say that. But yes, it's imperative for us to deploy any kind of an AI tool that can help us detect any kind of fake news or any kind of propaganda that's being propagated online. So yes, while the AI can be influenced, we have to make sure that the training is in coherence with standards. Obviously, it cannot be manipulated. It should not have any biases. But we also need to understand that this kind of an AI system will evolve, will develop. So we need to be sure that the people who are controlling the narrative on the back end need to train the AI in a more sensible way and not have biases in place, because that can seriously influence what it detects and what it flags, and that could be a problem. But I strongly believe that such a system needs to be put in place. There is so much fake news that's flying on social media, and an AI system, because everything is being layered by AI these days, needs to be put in place, and it needs to be made more efficient, I believe.
Oh yes, absolutely. And the purpose is hugely beneficial for as long as it is not misused for political reasons. At the moment, I want to thank you all for joining us on the broadcast and really throwing light on what is yet to come, what awaits the citizens of Karnataka.